Hello and welcome to the St Kilda and Bayside Report. It is November 2024. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy Rosens.
You are indeed, and you're the more suitably attired. You've got
I'm
a tie
back with
on.
the ties. Yeah, I was about to call you Philip.
Frightening, don't do that. But you
Back to ties.
And what about auctions? Do we wear ties at auctions?
Well, it's
every
not
time?
quite yet 30 plus every Saturday and Sunday,
No.
so
it's weather
I suspect
dependent.
it'll change. But I'm getting back into ties and suiting.
that right?
I've made a decision that it's time to get formal again.
And you've left all the rest of us looking like slobs because, you know, it was you and Philip, who are the doyens of fashion of the real estate agency that we happen to be part of, who has said, look, you know, we can relax a little bit, take off the ties now. Everybody's looking like a slob, and you guys are looking fantastic. Is that what's going on here or not?
We've lulled you. It's taken us a year to drop the standards, and then now there's a gap. Speaking of gap, you've had a fair haircut. We've both had a haircut.
I know. I know you're disappointed because one of Jeremy's great joys is to get me on the Kilda and Bayside Report and attack me because of my bushy eyebrows. But today,
they're
they are
still
nice
bushy.
and clear.
They're just not
that's right.
taking over your head.
There's nothing growing in there this time. So
Did you cut the eyebrows because the hairs were actually getting in your eye?
yeah, no, there was. I think there was some wildlife actually that was.
Do you know when
there.
Bob Marley died, they found 80-something species of lice in his hair?
Is that right? Really?
I don't know
I'm
if that's
surprised.
true, but I did hear
It's a
that.
good story anyway. If it's not true, Jeremy, we are now right in spring. In fact, we're
in
the
middle.
later part of
This
spring.
is like a really good time for Melbourne.
It is a
Spring
good time.
racing carnival.
Yep.
Finally, the sun's out.
Yep.
The doom and gloom of winter is over.
Yep.
It's all blue skies and excitement until the end of the year.
Well, you know, Melbourne has copped a bit of a pounding, hasn't it, in many respects, in many
on
arenas.
many fronts.
In many fronts, it's copped a bit of a pounding. You know, we know that we're not the most, Melbourne is sort of like me through, Melbourne economy represents my punting through the Spring Carnival, you know. Not all that prosperous, but...
Up, down, left, right.
Yeah, there's not so much up, but a lot down. So we know
time to redeem yourself.
We've been in a bit of trouble in Melbourne, but I've got to say, there was an article in the Herald Sun, and I have to say, Jeremy, I'm going to call your attention to it because I think it's good news. In fact, it is good news. It's
Well,
sort
it must
of
be
talking
if
about
it's in the Herald Sun, such a
exactly
reputable
right.
real estate
Yes.
magazine.
Well, they don't have the truth anymore. You know, that used to be the, of course, you know, that
Isn't
was
it
the
ironic?
benchmark. Hey, yeah.
It's called the
I
truth,
know,
yet it
no
had
longer.
nothing true.
No, and the best was rolling up the paper and hitting you over the head with it and saying, the truth hurts, doesn't it? But, Jeremy, getting back away from the juvenile and back to the more serious, the Herald Sun article stated that the market has changed, things have turned, Melbourne's on upswing. And I've got to say that there's a part of me, having been a real estate agent for just a little longer than you, not that much longer, I think we might be sort of starting to come out of a little bit of the gloom and doom. The pandemic's well behind us, the interest rate rises are well behind us, and I think the immigration away, from Victoria, people are coming back a little bit more and less people are leaving. I think it's going to start to turn for Melbourne, and I think we're going to see Victoria and Melbourne back to the glory that it's known for.
Gary.
I hope so
you're
too.
right. We have been lagging, but it was it's always just a matter of time because everything is fabulous well, I shouldn't say everything, but there's enough good things in Melbourne when you compare it to the rest of the world that real estate prices and everything else should keep increasing.
And I don't want to be critical of, because it's not a political show, so I'm not going to be critical about the government, but what I will say is that any government, whether it's Labor, Left, Greens, One Nation, Liberal, whoever you're with, left, right, very hard to stuff up Melbourne and Victoria because ultimately...
Someone managed to.
Ultimately, no, I'm not going to buy into any of that, but ultimately we've got the sporting event of the world, you know, certainly of Australia. We are the sports capital of Australia.
Yes.
With our AFL, we've got the racing capital, of course, which is a sport, I suppose.
Yes.
The centre of that. We've got the Grand Prix here.
Arts,
we've got the tennis
culture.
here. We've got arts. We've got restaurants. We've got shopping.
Yes.
We've got trams. Right, so we've got all of that stuff.
We don't have great weather though all year
Yeah, well,
round.
I'm not talking about that. We'll just cast aside the negatives. We're just going to look at the one side of the ledger here. And Melbourne and Victoria have got a lot going for it. It has always been a very successful place. So yes, we haven't had the best of years, but you wait. This place is going to get back on track. No question about it. And I think it's already happening. Talk about real estate a little bit. The clearance rates.
A little bit.
Yeah,
given the
clearance
show's
rates.
about real estate.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, isn't it? The clearance rates have been pretty strong.
Strong, Gary.
They've
Solid.
been pretty strong for us. Now, there is a kind of hidden clearance rate. There's the unseen, because what is actually happening is a lot of properties are, if they're not going to sell, they get withdrawn. So this is the facts here. So while our clearance rates have been around 80%, probably more so really, if you took the withdrawn ones and say that unsold at auction, probably closer to 70, still a very good clearance rate.
You're talking about
and probably
our
All across the board, and I
Right.
think if you take the other agents, it probably 55 to 60 would be probably the reality of the clearance
Maybe
rates.
even less, yeah.
Could be less. So it's okay. It's not great, but it's
balanced.
Okay.
Feels
It's
balanced.
balanced to good, not good to great or
Yes.
great, but it's balanced to good, I would say. So things are okay here. Hang in there, Victorians, because the sun's shining, and this next 3 or 4 months is the best time to be a Melbourneian, in my opinion.
Yep, even if you are a Melbourneian, I think it's
Yep.
Melburnian, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That you can't speak English
Tim
properly.
Gurner, who had a scathing article, called us Hellburnians recently, which
and
I thought was quite scathing.
I thought he was a staunch Melbourne guy, but
Yeah,
clearly
there you go. He's
there's more
turned his
money in
back on
Sydney, I'm
Melbourne,
guessing.
and must be, and Queensland. But well, it has been good in Queensland, hasn't
Yes,
it? And
yes.
Sydney by comparison.
Well,
But
let's
we
talk
are
about
on our
real
way to-
estate, Gary. This has been going on a little too long. We're about 4 minutes in and we haven't even uttered one little bit about real estate and
Well, we have. We talk
some of
about
the
clearance rates,
but
and,
that's,
we
you
talk
know.
about Melbourne, and of course Melbourne Cup. And if you back the winner of the Melbourne Cup, you managed to find that winner. Well done. 'Cause
I
you're
haven't
a good
received
punter,
the money
yeah.
from the sweeps yet, Gary.
Well,
What's going on with that? It's
Look, it's
handled
invested,
out of
it's-
your office, so if we can...
Well, what I thought we would do is we'd get the winnings and we'd roll it into the Oaks Day, and then we'd roll it on from there and then we'll see. Maybe we'd have enough to retire on, all of us.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
you think
with
so?
my $5...
Yeah, I can tell you what, it could be maybe it's a bit of a Ponzi scheme we've got going on with that. Anyway, let's talk about the sold properties, Jeremy, because it's that time of year. And,
Yes.
I always say this time of year I'm very conflicted because on the left I've got houses and on the right I've got horses.
You are very conflicted. And the
houses to the
weekends
left,
are very difficult managing your time, I'm sure.
Exactly. Houses to the left, horses to the right, and here I am stuck in the middle with you, as they say, that song goes.
That's the second cringeworthy little gag
and-
cliche that you've come up with, Gary.
This is the time of year where both are very active, horses and houses. I know houses pay a lot better than horses. There have been some sales and people who do watch
This
this
could
report.
actually be the worst, boringest, pathetic start to this show in the history. I've never felt so less engaged listening to you than right now.
Well, I want to tell the
I've
two
gotta
people.
tell-
I want
and
to tell
I
the two
reckon-
people who are still watching.
They're gone.
That's very unfair.
My mum's probably tuned out by now.
Yeah,
also,
she's got to make a cup of tea now. Or she's
She doesn't even drink tea. That's how bad she's
There you
got.
go.
Anyway.
She'll be drinking something with watching this if you're still tuned in. Let's talk about what's been
Let's
sold
get into
in
it,
St Kilda,
Gary.
Bayside.
One at 273 Orrong Road.
Now, this block.
Favourite block of
This
ours.
block, let's just show the image of this block.
What do we call it? Caulfield?
No, when it was released all those years ago, Jeremy, and when
Yes.
it was subdivided,
The
and it's a
gardens?
long time ago now, I think it was almost 30 years ago when it was redone, the whole block.
Yep.
It was called the Gardens of Caulfield.
Gardens of
Now, of
Caulfield.
course, at those days, St Kilda East was trying to tack into the Caulfield address for prestige. Today,
Right.
St Kilda East is very prestigious, but
So
this beautiful
it's
block,
not even in Caulfield
no,
yet.
it never
they-
was.
right.
No. Can you imagine how you'd go today with that, saying, "Oh, the Gardens
Oh,
of
you'd
Caulfield
be
being
sued,
East of Kilda,"
Gary.
you'd be sued. You'd have your pantsuit off. Yeah, but Jeremy, this block's been great. We've sold one there recently. We've got one for sale now, also,
Yes,
by
we
the
do.
way, with one young Daniel Peer.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about the one that got sold.
This was a fiery auction, Gary. There's a ground floor, large one bedroom with a nice big courtyard garden. I think the quote range was in the fives. Competitive auction, sold for $640,000 in October. Because we look back.
We do. Let's talk about Inkerman Street.
Yes.
Now, what we should know and we don't know is what does Inkerman, the actual name, mean? Do you know?
This is a trick question here, Gary.
No, because I think there was like a battle of Inkerman. Like there's a number of streets.
The Battle of Inkerman.
There's a battle of Inkerman, not just the competitive
What happened?
auction.
Did they come off the foreshore
Cavalry,
and
yeah.
against the Caulfield
they all started
people and they
marching through
battled?
the Battle of
did they?
Inkerman. No, because we have battles for it, but I think some of the streets have got some significance. I'm looking for the historians who watch this show. But
Well,
some
I'm
of
looking
that's
for
smart.
anyone to watch this show. I don't need historians, just anyone at this
Anyone watch
stage.
this show, could come forward and tell us what do some of these, because Khartoum, was a famous battle of Khartoum. Khartoum Street's off Alma and Inkerman. Anyway, there is some very Alma. I think we should be looking more deeply into it. Anyway,
Well, you can do
tell
that,
us about
Gary.
the sale.
You can do that. 332 Inkerman Street. This is post-battle, obviously,
Yes.
this one.
Yeah.
Although it looked like a battle had happened in this house. This has been owned by the same people forever, and
right?
not a lot had been spent in the last decade.
Okay.
So we were trying to figure out which room, because it was raining, which room to do it in.
We love a
which
rainy
room was
auction.
least likely for the floors to fall in, and there was the roof to come.
yeah.
Anyway, so we did in the front room. It was also a hyper-competitive auction, Gary. We thought we'd probably get around 9. We ended up getting 970 for this
Wow,
house.
there you go.
And it is in desperate need of repair, but still a single-fronted home in Inkerman Street. I thought that was a good buy for somebody.
Fair enough. Good luck to the buyer. Westbury Street or Westbury?
284 Westbury Grove.
Westbury Grove.
Unfortunately, this is undisclosed, Gary, but fair to say that somewhere between 1.2 and 1.3, closer to the 1.3, that this sold.
Okay. Elmer Road?
Elmer Road, again, hyper-competitive auction. Beautiful older style Tudor kind of clinker,
Brick English
gingerbread
style. Yeah,
kind of
love it.
house-looking thing.
Gingerbread?
Anyway, yeah, gingerbread house.
Gingerbread House, fair enough.
Go have a look at Google
Okay.
gingerbread house
Can-
whilst you're trying to look at the Battle of Khartoum
yeah,
and the Battle
fair
of Inkerman and telling bad jokes.
Can you eat
Anyway,
it? Can you eat that house?
No, you cannot, Gary.
No, but you can buy
This
it.
is getting worse. Even our cameraman's decided to put
no,
it on
he's tuned
autoplay
off,
and he's
I know.
walked away.
He's tuned off, yeah.
One at 136 Elmer Road, competitive auction, Gary, 6 to 660, reserve top end of the range. It flew and sold for $762,500 to a lovely lady who is moving closer to her daughter. She came to the auction with her dog and she just kept bidding, just with her hand up and just kept bidding.
Really?
And I made a joke, you should just keep your hand up until it's sold to you. And she didn't think
wasn't
it was
just
a
trying to
joke. She
straighten
just-
up her dog or
She
anything.
may have
No,
been,
yeah,
but she's
fair
now the proud owner of that fabulous apartment.
Raglan Street's a great address. There's some lovely homes along there. Tell us about the sale that we've had there.
Gary, that one sold for $1,350,000. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car. That's a great home and I believe a great price.
And you know, some people with Raglan Street, they're a bit dismissive because it is next to the railway line.
Ah, the
but what
railway
some
line's
people don't
sunken.
realise exactly is the railway line is sunken, Jeremy.
It's got
and
a park
just
at the
you
end of
can't-
the street.
I love it
cafe
there.
at the
exactly
other end.
right. So for those people that have maybe dismissed Raglan, bring it back into your focus in the future because it is a fine address.
Well, you know why people are off it? Because since the Battle of Raglan back in 1874,
that was a vicious one. That one.
Vicious.
Oh, that was really brutal. One of the more brutal battles.
Mate, there were
Made the
just
Battle
as
of
many-
Alma and Inkerman look like a walk in the park. Let's move on.
Moore Street in Elwood, Gary. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure whether there was a battle more worse than this.
No, that was named
me
after-
trying to be funny like you, and it fell very flat.
Yeah, no, Moore was one of the commanders. It was Commander Moore. He was
Commander
he
Moore.
was involved in the Battle of Inkerman.
Well, Gary, this was supposed to be sold in a few days' time, but it was actually brought forward, I believe,
Yep.
and sold prior to auction for $1,510,000.
Well, you know, this is something that happens now often. You know, sometimes the heat is there and just can't wait till auction. And we had this, you know, till the planned auction date.
Yes.
So the planned auction day is brought in, and
Yes.
we had a spooky little auction last week, Jeremy, in Halloween. We had our little auctions, and I was going to wear
It's
something
also
spooky.
Halloween, not Halloween. Yeah, you did wear something. You just turned up and people said, "Take your mask off, Gary."
Yeah, very funny. But Halloween evening was a lot of fun down in Gordon Street because we sold this terrific one-bedroom apartment. We had an offer that was going
Pre-auction
to be accepted,
offer?
and it was going to be accepted. It was
Triggered
game on.
something.
And you know what? We had an offer, and the bid was, I think it's disclosed, and if
Yes.
it's not, well, we'll be in trouble.
505,
505
yep.
was the bid that we had. We went to the auction. We told everyone, very transparent, 505 is the offer. Here it is, lovely one-bedroom apartment. We had a bid of 507.5, a bid of 510. Show was over, and out we went for trick and treating after that. Jeremy sold
Vendors
at 510.
happy, buyers happy, and you
Everyone
went and got a sack of lollies.
I did.
This is actually, Halloween is the day after my birthday, Gary.
Yeah, it was your birthday last
was.
week. Yeah, happy birthday,
Thank
by
you,
the way.
Gary.
You look pretty good for 60. Let's move on to what is
Well,
coming
there's
up.
some private sales,
Oh, yeah,
Gary.
okay, run through
Let's
those.
whiz through these
Yeah,
because
let's
these
do
are the 4 at 59 Shelley Street. That was a great
Yep.
result, $755,000.
In the heart of
team
Elwood.
of Bentley joined in and joined up with the team of St Kilda, and we sold this lovely town residence at
And made-
117 Spray Street.
You together made magic happen. Yep.
We did, Gary.
Spray
2
Street,
million.
yeah. That's on the corner of Glen Huntley Road. I saw the board there.
Yes,
Very
just
nice
over
place.
$2,600,000 for that one.
Yeah, lovely.
Speaking of Bentley, 190 Elmer Road has been sold by the Bentley crew.
Yep.
That's a gang, possibly, the Bentley
Bentley
crew.
crew, yeah.
Hope it's not. GO1 and 202 both sold. One was in the mid-sevens, one was over 9. And there was another one that Limor sold. Now, I don't want
In
to get
Elmer Road,
into
yeah.
a lot of detail here.
Yep.
But you can tease it out of me because I'm available here. This was a property that was for sale with another agent
Oh, yes.
for several months. Went to auction, cancelled auction, couldn't get it sold. Limor literally met the vendor, talked about what she could do. Within 3 days, the property was listed.
Yep.
Buyer walked through, sold.
There you go.
Where
no one
other
has-
agents have failed, Gary,
We have
Limor
prospered
went
and
and
succeeded.
did more than prosper, sold it well in excess of $700,000.
Yep.
I won't say who the agent was.
No. Let's just move on because we've got more properties that we are going to be selling, Jeremy.
Yes, let's talk
they're
about
the solds.
successes, not other
Let's
people's
talk about
failures,
what's
you're
coming
right.
in the door now because they're out the door. We say farewell to those vendors and congratulations to those buyers. And now we have a whole lot of new vendors looking for new buyers. We are just a marriage agency, really, of homes.
Matchmakers,
aren't we?
Gary,
Matchmakers, we are.
matchmakers.
Let's talk about the new ones that are out there, Mr. Rosens.
10th of November, we're going to be
This
bringing
weekend.
one at 195 Orrong Road to market.
Yes.
This is kind of mid-century cool, Gary.
Yeah, I've been up here and been involved with this. In fact, I've known the owners for a long time, and I used to run around this place as a kid because I knew the owners for that long, and they're still the same owners today.
Is there a plaque that Gary Pear was once here?
No, there's no such plaque there. But
No,
what there
because they're
is,
trying to hold the
what
values,
there
not
is a
lose money.
very cool mid-century home with a beautiful terrace and all facing the sun there. Jeremy, that is a great property.
Been updated also.
Very cool property. It can move in and very affordable. You know, in and around just the low
Yeah,
millions.
1-to-1, 3 beds, one
Good
and a half
opportunity.
bath. This is very nice, very cool.
Let's move on to Alma Road. This is pretty as a picture, isn't it?
This
period
is
home.
picture postcard, perfect facade, Gary, Edwardian.
Magnificent.
Single-fronted, great floor plan, great home, 1,150 to 1,250. Nikki Genova is bringing that to market. I have the pleasure of auction duties there on the 16th at 11:30, if not sold prior to auction. Whilst we're talking about beautiful Edwardians,
Back
Gary.
to the Battle of Inkerman.
The Battle of Inkerman. Well,
Continues.
it was a tough one there, but 358 did survive the Battle of Inkerman.
Yep.
Edwardian charm, modern comfort in a prime location. That's what we've run with there, and that's very succinctly wraps it up. 1-2 to 1-3-2. Joel Sir, Daniel Fisher, Reno Pabliore running that one, and I'm doing the auction there on the 17th at 12:30, Gary.
Yeah, now this one may not get to market. In fact, it's under offer at the moment.
Under offer
Under
at the
contract, in
moment.
fact. Yeah, under
167 Orrong Road. A beautiful, beautiful home. Beautiful period home.
We'll tell you next time what it sold for.
We
because
can.
It looks like it
It's
sold. Yeah.
quoted in the twos, in the early twos, and
Yeah.
looks like it may be sold, Gary.
Could be. Let's go into this good-looking
Speaking
home.
of early twos, spacious luxury with designer detail on Locke Avenue in the heart of St Kilda,
Locke
off
Avenue.
Orrong Road,
Yep.
literally around the corner from that house that we just spoke about.
Yep.
2 million to 2.2. Leor Samuel bringing that to market 17th of November, Sunday at 1:30. This is a lovely double-storey townhouse, very modern with all the convenience you'd expect from a home. It also has a pool at the rear,
Now the
which
next
is unheard of.
And just over the back fence, Jeremy.
Yes.
Towards the north.
Yes.
It's got Carrington Grove,
Yes.
the home of Ripponlea Primary School, which I was. a
They
student.
must have a plaque for you there, surely.
Well, no, I don't think they were.
Could
actually.
you be one of the finest products of Ripponlea Primary?
Well, I'm one that stayed free and in captivity.
Are
Because
you
not everybody
suggesting
did.
that there are people
Yeah,
that are
there's
incarcerated
there's a
from
few,
that
there's a
school?
few there that didn't quite make it out into the streets, Jeremy.
That's what
but,
happens when you take the fall for Gary. You end
that's
up
it.
in jail.
Well, I come and visit. I bring them a cake every now and then
You
with a
would do
five in
that.
it to
You
see
would
if they
be
can
like
get their
that,
way
yeah.
out. But Jeremy, that was a great school, and it still is a great school. In fact, I see children running around with Ripponlea State School proudly with Ripponlea State School uniforms.
Yes.
I just had an anniversary. I won't say which year because a long time, but it's
Since you
half
were
a dozen
there?
of us. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I'd
you don't
say
want
that's
to
at least 50 years, Gary.
Yeah, it was 50 years. Thanks for pulling the plug on me there. But
It's pretty obvious the viewers are not blind.
50 years, and there's still a group of us got together. And if there's anyone else that went to Ripponlea that was
How
in
many
our
of you
year,
got together?
only about 6 or 7.
Just
or
six
so.
of you left, or
Yeah, pretty much. The rest are all, either overseas.
I'm going to say
out of
that's
contact,
phenomenal.
or
That
locked
50
away.
years later,
Yeah, I know.
you still
Yeah.
have friends from. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing that you
Group
have
of-
friends. Full stop.
I know,
but
even
after 50 years is
even after, I know.
remarkable.
Indeed. Anyway, let's.
Good on you. Good on Ripponlea for providing such a
they
culture
didn't.
that
they
exists
did.
like that.
They did. Well, that was the old days. When we grew up, everyone was friendly. There wasn't
Hold on.
division.
When you say
Everyone was
we,
together.
that felt collective, you and I.
No, not we. We,
No.
as in my age group.
Those old
we
people.
celebrated our differences. We combined
you
together.
were all
We were
different.
politically incorrect and
Yep.
loved it and had fun, and no one got offended. Today, everyone just wants to be offended, and everyone's upset, and everyone's defensive.
Imagine
and
if people got offended on this show, Gary.
everyone will get offended from something. Everyone gets offended these days, and I've probably offended someone now. And if I have, look, I'm not even going to apologise because I'm over offending people. Just be yourself, have fun, be good, move on.
I'll apologise on behalf of Gary. I apologise.
Let's
for
talk about
anyone
Carrington
that's been
Grove. I just got
blindsided.
off a little bit.
You
there.
did. You did
Yeah.
what? Do you know Donald Trump? They talk about how he. I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan that he tells a story, and he believes he's in full control of the point.
narrative, yeah.
But it's going like, and he says, "Oh, that's I do that on purpose." So it's quite an interesting thing. Anyway,
By the way, when people watch this,
it will have been run and won. Although
You'll
you
either
know,
be celebrating Trump or mourning, or celebrating Kamala or mourning.
prediction. Not brave enough to make one.
I think Trump will win. But,
Yeah, well,
but then
I was
again,
watching the Today Show the other day.
I thought the favourite to win the Derby last week too.
So
Go on.
everything's about
Yeah.
horse racing. I was watching the Today Show, and there was
You
a
were?
guy who has picked the last, I don't know, 6 presidents.
Okay.
And he said absolutely convinced it'll be Kamala.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that'll be interesting
Wow,
to see.
there you
whether
go.
that,
Well, you'll know because you will be watching. Go on.
9 Carrington Grove, Gary. This is a beautiful period home, a weatherboard home. It's beautifully put together. It's lovingly renovated. This one is 3 beds, 1 bath. It's not really one bath, it's actually 2.5 baths, but it's 2 cars. It's one study, Gary.
Get it right.
Beautiful floor plan, I know. This one going up on the 17th of November at 230, price range 1.5 to 1.6. Good buying, great home.
Now, how many people have been going to this property? This has been one of our hottest listings, Jeremy. People have been climbing all over it. I'm not surprised because it's on the corner of Balaclava and Chattersley, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
you're right, Gary.
Which is a hot street. Chattersley is a beautiful, small street, but a beautiful street with lovely homes. This is a very spacious apartment, Jeremy.
I'm just looking
with
at
lots
the
of
heading,
sunlight,
and I feel like it could be describing me. Because it's huge, solid and superbly located 70s classic.
Yeah. Is that
I
right?
reckon I'm huge.
Is that right? Well, you're huge. Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Superbly located. Well, you are because you're next to me at the moment.
There we
so
go.
those two are right. There you
I
go.
just saw the Gary Peer van just drive past.
There you go. It does that sometimes.
3 at 54 Balaclava Road, as you say, on the corner Chattersley. This is big, bold, beautiful 70s. This one, 9 to 990. An immense apartment, a beautiful floor plan, flexibility abounds, big living areas, 3 beds. You got a study, you got lounge dining, you got bathrooms, you got car spaces. 9 to 990. That seems like it's great value. I wouldn't be surprised if this kicks beyond that, Gary.
It may
That's
well.
good
The way it's
buying.
travelling, it may well. Roll up. A couple of other good offerings we've got, Jeremy. We've got this incredible property at 42 Carlisle Street, just near Grieve Street, close to your office.
Yes.
Which is also an extraordinary offering, and I think we're doing that in conjunction with our commercial friends Gross Waddell, because it has got a bit of a commercial aspect to it. It has been used commercially, but great property. It used to be medical for some time as well.
Yep.
Still
21st of November at 5:30, Gary.
Yep.
It's got 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. There's a lot happening in the house.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few principal rooms,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it could be turned into a beautiful home.
Is that an expression of interest to an auction, or are you not sure?
I believe it is a midweek auction, Gary.
There we go, don't miss it. And Jeremy, let's finish off in Westbury Street for this terrific property.
One of my favourite blocks, this one, up the top end opposite the school.
Yep.
Can't think of the name of the school in Westbury.
That'll be Christian Butlers College.
CBC,
Yep.
Gary.
Yeah,
Had
I
a
know.
very big football game,
Yep, I
football
know.
match, and had a big fight with
Yeah,
them.
we all got belted by some CBC
No,
boys. You
we
didn't
won,
grow up
we
here
won
if
the
you-
fight, but we lost the game,
Fair
or the
enough.
other way around. Probably sounds like we won the game but lost the fight. We're not very good at fighting in my old school. Anyway, this one's going up on the 24th of November at 11:30 a.m. 2 bed, 1 bath, 1 car, older style, gorgeous, beautiful. Top end of Westbury Street, Dandenong Road, access to Chapel Street, the other way Carlisle Street, the cafes, the lifestyle, all abounds, Gary.
And look, that's a pretty big wrap. Is this our
Who's
last
big
show
wrap?
for the year? Or
No,
we come
I think
back?
we're going to do a December one, Gary,
Okay.
where we can just close out the year and maybe
Wrap
do
the
some bloopers. Imagine how the bloopers on this show.
No, we don't want to do that.
We're one take anyway,
That's
Gary.
that's a big wrap on the Secure Bayside report. We will come back in December. We'll give you our predictions for 2025 and a
Yes.
bit of a wrap for 2024.
Yes.
In the meantime, we bid you well if you've been watching up till now. Well, we thank that one person that's
You're a
been doing
trooper.
that. You are. We appreciate you, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy, and we'll see you next time.